Welcome to Love You Longmont. I'm Linda Bond and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to be talking about Startup Week, which is an exciting, inspiring time. We have Jessica Erickson with us, and she's the president and CEO of the Longmont Economic Development Partnership. Now, before we start, explain what the Longmont Economic Development Partnership is.
Sure. Thank you first for having me. I appreciate it.
So glad you're here.
Thank you. So the Longmont Economic Development Partnership is a public-private nonprofit economic development organization that serves the greater Longmont area. So we're charged with leading a comprehensive collaborative economic development strategy called Advance Longmont for the city. We do that in partnership with about 12 other organizations in the community. We're also charged with marketing the community for purposes of economic development, attracting new business investment to our community, as well as working with our existing industry to help them stay here and grow here and be successful here in Longmont.
Well, an important part of that is Startup Week. And this is your third year to do it, but the first year to be in charge of it.
Yes.
Can you explain what Startup Week is?
Yes. Startup Week is 5 days, July 24th through 28th this year, 5 days of activities intended to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in the city of Longmont, as well as hopefully highlight it and put us on a national stage as a hub for innovation and entrepreneurship in the country.
I have heard this is an important area for entrepreneurship in Longmont.
Yes, entrepreneurship is an incredibly important area for economic development in the city of Longmont. Starting and growing our own businesses is the most effective way to ensure a healthy economy and jobs for all within the community.
That's brilliant. We went to TinkerMill, and it's a maker space, but it's a very, very impressive one. And we met Ron Thomas, and we're going to, throughout our program today, we're going to be going back and forth to TinkerMill, meeting entrepreneurs, people who are inspiring and exciting, and we'll come back and talk to Jessica about how it all ties in with Startup Week. So let's go to the TinkerMill right now. We're so pleased to be here with Ron Thomas, and he's the executive director of TinkerMill. TinkerMill is a wonderful asset to the community, but it's not a place that just started fully grown. It evolved. What was TinkerMill like at the beginning?
It was pretty small. We started in the summer of 2013. We had, I think, 5 people at the very first meetup, and it grew pretty quickly from that. We ended up having about 25 founders joined through the summer of 2013. Our first space was I think an old shoe store at the old Twin Peaks Mall before it got torn down. And we were there for a few months, and we sort of quickly grew from that to nearly 600 members that we've got here today.
Well, how would you define what TinkerMill is?
So TinkerMill is a makerspace. So first and foremost, we're a community resource for people who want to make just about anything. If you want to make something in the wood shop, make a new table. If you want to make a new circuit, like say a little game or a microphone, or if you want to start a new business, you can do all of that here at TinkerMill.
Now, you are a person who's interested in many things, and I understand your degree was in math, but when you got out, you found there were even more things that you were interested in. How does that work with TinkerMill?
It works really well. I mean, I've got a huge range of interests, so being able to work at a place like TinkerMill, where we have lots of designers, lots of engineers, lots of entrepreneurs, I get to see all the different really cool stuff that people are making right here in town and help them move stuff along.
Are you kind of hands-on with some of the things?
I try to be, yeah, as much as I can be. I love doing stuff in the wood shop and helping people with projects in the welding area. So yeah, any chance I get to get out and actually make something myself is great.
This is TinkerMill's own building.
Yeah, so we moved into this building about 3 years ago, and we rented up until about a month ago, when we finally closed on the purchase of this building, with a lot of help from the Longmont Economic Development Partnership, from Rollins National Bank, from the Colorado Enterprise Fund, from the Colorado Housing and Finance Administration. So really it was a community effort to help us secure the building.
When I first met you, you were on your way to the White House. You'd been invited to talk about TinkerMill. What did they want to talk to you about?
So last August, I got an invitation from the Office of Innovation and Technology or excuse me, Innovation and Technology Policy at the White House. And they were beginning an organization, well, it has since become an organization called the Nation of Makers. And so there were about 75 different maker spaces represented there. We talked about sort of each of our spaces and how we can work better together to to essentially grow the culture of making and innovation across the country.
I know that people here are inventing and doing interesting things. Do some of them go on to become their own businesses? Is that the idea?
A lot do, yeah. So we have there are about 45 companies that have started out of here just the last few years.
45.
Yeah, and half a dozen or so have grown big enough that they need to find their own office space or their own manufacturing facility, and so they've moved on to their own space from here.
Goodness.
Yeah.
You hate to see them go, or?
Yeah, but absolutely. But they're, a lot of them still spend time here. They still come here for the resources that we have, things like the laser cutter or the machine shop, and of course they're still part of the community, volunteering, teaching classes, sort of sharing the stuff that they've learned through their product design and marketing and launch.
Well, I think you do have kind of the heart of a teacher, that you like to teach people things.
Yeah.
So what kind of classes are available here?
Just about classes on just about anything. We have wood shop classes, so you can learn how to use the machines in the wood shop. You can then sort of advance on to, we just started a furniture making class with Jeff Moore, who's been teaching that. We have a pottery where you can learn the basics of throwing a pot, go all the way up to doing some really amazing glazing work with Fa Shimbo. She's our pottery shop captain. You can learn electronics, so you can learn how to solder. You can learn how to make robots work. You can learn how to make something in the machine shop, so you can work with metal, both rotating like the lathe or something that you make maybe with the milling machine. I teach the welding classes. Just pretty much anything you can think of. We've got somebody here that does it and is willing to teach it.
Startup Week has sort of a three-prong attack. It inspires, entertains, educate. Let's talk about inspiring first. Now, Jessica, how would you say, or what aspects of Startup Week will inspire people?
Colorado is a national hub for innovation and entrepreneurship, has been for a long time. Boulder and the Boulder area especially, and Longmont has been kind of a jewel, an unknown jewel in the innovation and entrepreneurship environment here in the region. We did a study a couple years ago and repeated it again this year that shows that Longmont has the second highest rate of patent issuance per 10,000 people of any city in Colorado. That's without a university, that's without a national laboratory in our backyard. So somebody once said we're a community of mad scientists. And so we have a handful of individuals who have started and scaled very successful businesses here in Longmont that are coming to speak and tell their stories about how they became successful founding and scaling a business right here in Longmont. One example of that is we have Dr. Walter Scott, who is one of the founders of Digital Globe, who for a long time was headquartered here in Longmont and still has a significant presence here in Longmont. And so we hope that stories like his will inspire innovators and entrepreneurs in our community currently. We also have another keynote from a student, actually a DU student, the president of the DU student body. Certainly not from Longmont, but he's a brilliant young man who talks about the millennial generation and inspiring the millennial generation to enter into entrepreneurial opportunities, as well as pursue design and creative thinking for the purpose of starting businesses, as well as to inspire the community as a whole to support those efforts and those activities by especially young people in our community.
Well, that inspires me to want to get involved. One of the people that we met out at TinkerMill was Sarah Jane Helm, and she's an artist, and we were inspired by her use of the machinery that she can use at TinkerMill.
Hi there, today I'm working with the laser cutter and some birch plywood that I have pre-dyed in order to get colors on my wood before I cut the colors away. Our laser cutter over here is our most popular machine at TinkerMill. I'd say that it has the longest waiting list for time to use it. We have a calendar so that we can book time and you don't have to stand around waiting. That has made it a lot more economical for people to get lots of work done, and there are a lot of us who do a lot of work here. We have people who make guitars, people who make jewelry, people who make boxes, people who do all kinds of different things with this. Today I'm working on some cowboy boots. I've started with a digital design on the computer. I'm using a free program called Inkscape that's open source. We like open source around here a lot. It's great to use the other big programs that cost a lot of money, but it's even better when you can use the ones that people have developed and shared. So today I'm using Inkscape, and that builds the program file, and then I put it into what I call the bunny. It's actually a rabbit laser cutter, and nobody else knows what to call it, and bunny seems a little less threatening. So it can be a little bit tweaky to try and get your design from the computer into the laser cutter. Once you've got it there, then you can cut it over and over again, but sometimes there's a little bit of fuss to do with the actual design and where the points and the paths are. Once you've got that, then you're good to go. You can start with your own drawings, or you can start with clip art. You can do all kinds of different things with this machine. So once it's in, I'm going to push pause. You'll notice that this machine has a blower to help keep any smoke that happens. You don't want fire. We're all very vigilant to make sure that no fires occur. Even though the laser itself is burning through the wood, you don't want to catch anything else on fire. You'll notice I've got paper under here that helps to keep the back of the wood from charring. I've pushed pause, and once I push it again, it'll start from right where I stopped, and I can run this design over and over, or I can switch out and do other colors. So I'm going to close it back up, start it back, and then if you come on over here, you can see some of the wood that I've pre-dyed. It comes in 6 foot by 6 foot sheets, which I then cut up using the laser, and then I dye it, and I can then cut up the various pieces that I do and sell after that. Here's some cowboy boots I'm working on today. When you start with a vector file, then you can change it to any size that you want. So I can make them an inch, or I can make them 2 foot tall if I wanted to. However, most people don't wear 2 foot tall earrings, so I'm going to stick with these. I have other styles that I do. I've got about 60 different files that I do currently, and I'm always building more because that's the fun part. I sell them to jewelry designers. I make jewelry myself and sell the jewelry. We have a lot of different people who do all kinds of different entrepreneurial things here. You can start a business, you can make your business better, you can take classes in how to promote your business, you can meet with people who have answers to questions you might have. This is a great place to learn how to do things and to do them.
It's one thing to be inspired, but it's another to know how to do things. And part of Startup Week is education. How does that work?
Absolutely. We have 70 different events scheduled throughout the week, the 24th through the 28th of July, with a significant number of them being keynote speakers and fireside chats, as we talked about, that are intended to tell stories to inspire entrepreneurs here locally. But then most of the remainder of the events are really intended to support our entrepreneurs through education about financing and funding a startup business, branding and marketing a startup business, as well as education around advances in technologies that might present opportunities for our local innovators and entrepreneurs. So things like drone technology, healthcare technology, development in general. So we have a web development session that we're putting on in partnership with CoSolve. And so anybody could want a little bit of a 101 education in regards to starting a business, patenting an idea, or anything related to innovation and entrepreneurship in the community. Somebody will find something of interest and to educate them throughout the week.
I would imagine there are a lot of people who are inspired and excited, and they go out and start a business, but they have no idea. Suddenly you have to become a business person.
Right. Yes.
How actually would this session help them this week?
We do have a couple of sessions around hiring, when to know your business has scaled to the point where you need to actually hire employees, or does it make more sense to use contractors? So we do have a session around that. We have a session, like I said, or multiple sessions around branding and marketing your business once you get to a point where you're actually selling a product, as well as financing and funding your business. So I think all of those different pieces of being an actual business person and not just an inventor, innovator, are part of this week, as well as we have mentor hours throughout the week. So we've identified mentors throughout the community, throughout the region really, who will come to Longmont during that week and spend some time with our entrepreneurs one-on-one to help them solve their immediate and unique issues in starting their own business.
I'm sure people must have to sign up for this in advance.
Yes, yes. So they can contact our office, the Longmont Economic Development Partnership office, to sign up, or they can go to the Longmont Startup Week website, which is www.longmont. Sorry. I lost that one.
We'll add that in.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry.
We met Lindsay Craig, and Lindsay is with Quest Botics, and he's involved with another aspect of this, which is the educational aspect. So let's go and meet Lindsay.
Hi, so I'm Lindsay Craig from Quest Botics, and what I'm doing here today is I am assembling our product that we've been working at TinkerMill for almost 2 years now. So we've got a controller that kids can put blocks in here, and then they can use that to control a Quest bot, which will then move around. They can learn things like algebra, calculus, or they can just get an introduction to robots at an incredibly young age. So this is after almost 2 years of work here at TinkerMill. We started out with a 3D printed chassis, and then we moved our way up to injection mold, actual product. And what I'm doing today is I'm using some jigs to program our Bluetooth units, and then I'm doing testing of all of these units that came in and assembling all of these units, because all the parts come in different boxes, and sometimes the parts aren't entirely correct, and we have to take them apart and put them back together and then test to make sure everything works exactly the way we want it to. It's wonderful because I have access to a wide variety of tools here that will allow me to do anything I need to, from putting together our 3D printed chassis to Bluetooth troubleshooting, to rework with really high quality soldering irons. So our goal at Quest Botics is to bring technology education to a really young crowd, ages 3 and up. We believe that they can do things like algebra as long as it's experiential and things are moving around and they're having fun, as opposed to putting it down on paper or concentrating on a screen.
While we were at TinkerMill, we also met Bob Moeller, and he's involved with something entirely different. It's a document scanner.
Okay, what I have here is a do-it-yourself book scanner. And what brought this up is we have old journals and ledgers that we have, several members here, and we want to copy them without destroying the binding. I just have an example notebook up here right now, but if you have an old ledger, it's pretty fragile. And what we do is, this is like a tin assembly, and if you notice, there's a light coming out down there. And if you look down in here, as you can see here, we have a light down there, and we have 2 Canon cameras and a Raspberry Pi, which is a hacker's computer. They're very reasonable. These cost like $40. And the 2 cameras I bought on eBay for $20 a piece. And what they do is you have a Canon hack software that you can put in these cameras, and they'll take control of the camera, so you can have many different controls that aren't normally available as you get the camera. We run it into this Raspberry Pi, and then we run over, and you can see the computer program we have there, and we program them so that what it does is it takes photos of 2 pages at once when you got the thing up on top in the tent, and splits them up, and you go on to flip the book open, put it down again, and click it. And then the software will straighten out the pages, crop them, and put them all together in a PDF so you end up with a book. And people have said you can do 1,000 pages in an hour, which without any breaks or anything. I would just be happy at a couple hundred, because we're only doing small journals and things. But it will copy any books, pictures, or anything and put it in a book format, an e-book format.
That was Bob Moeller at TinkerMill, and again, we found everything. I'm really intrigued with how many people are entrepreneurs and are creating here. But one part of Startup Week is also to entertain. What sorts of things might entertain us?
Sure, we're planning on having a lot of fun during the week. In addition to the inspirational and educational sessions that we have throughout the week, we have a variety of activities intended to get people together on a more social level. One of the most effective ways, I think, to start to form relationships and make connections is to do so on a social level. So starting with the most exciting, I think, is everyone knows that Colorado is about beer, and Longmont is a part of that too,
Right.
with some of the oldest craft brewers in Longmont, or in Colorado, having been founded here in Longmont, Left Hand Brewery, and then, or in the Longmont area, and then Oscar Blues. But we have, I think it's now 11 different craft breweries just in the city of Longmont. And so the majority of them, I think 10 of the craft brewers got together, and they are actually brewing a beer specifically for Startup Week. It will be called the Wannapreneur is the name of the beer.
Cute.
And it will be served exclusively only during Startup Week at all of the different breweries in town. And so you'll be able to get that anywhere in town that you go. So that's one of the fun things that we're doing for the week. And then we have a Founder Warrior competition. We actually have a business that started here in Longmont that has a Ninja Warrior like obstacle course, and they're going to set up one of those here in Longmont, and we'll have teams of 2 of founders of businesses from the community that will compete against each other in Founder Warriors. And then we have a variety of happy hour events that I think both inform and educate as well as provide for some entertainment. So we're partnering with CoBiz Bank to do kind of a creative financing happy hour. So there will be cocktails, and there will be education and connections to some financing and funding resources that our local entrepreneurs might not be aware of otherwise.
So you've taken things that might not be fun and turned them into fun and entertainment. How
Yes, for most
exciting.
people, finance is not fun, but we're going to try and make it fun as possible.
It would be fun if you get finance.
Yes, exactly.
Well, how do people get involved? I don't imagine people just walk in off the street and go to this.
Actually, you can just walk in off the street and go to it.
Is that right?
All 70 events are free of charge. There's no charge to anyone. It's a week of events that have been created, supported, and resourced by the community and for the community. And so we have a number of venues throughout downtown and at the village, at the peaks, that are hosting these events as an in-kind donation to the week. We have a number of businesses that are providing their services, notably Circle Graphics, who is a printing company here in town. They're actually the large-scale printing company in the nation, and they've generously donated all of the large-scale printing needs for the week. So we've done everything that we can to make it as accessible as possible, and we have 70 plus free events going on throughout the week. And whether you go onto the Longmont Startup Week website and look at the schedule and plan your week in advance, that's one way to do it. Or if you just happen to be walking up and down Main Street and see something that's of interest, you're welcome to walk on in and join that too.
Oh, that's incredible. I had no idea it was free to
Yes,
everyone.
everything is free.
That's because sponsors here in the community really care about things like this.
Yes, absolutely. We reached out to the community from the very beginning of planning this. We've been planning the week for most of the year so far. My staff has been, and volunteers have been planning the week. And so we reached out to the community to get ideas for the types of sessions and the topics of sessions and events that we wanted to have. So that's all been a collaborative effort within the entrepreneurial community to make that happen, the schedule happen, as well as we reached out to the community to support the week financially and through in-kind contributions. And so I mentioned Circle Graphics, but we also have a number of other sponsors, all listed on the Longmont Startup Week webpage, but sponsoring everything from providing financial support to, like I said, providing in-kind donations of products and services to get us through the week.
there are going to be a lot of success stories. And one of the success stories that we're seeing here in Longmont is Diabase Engineering. And when we told people we were going to go to TinkerMill, they all said, go see Diabase. So let's talk to Richard Warner, who's a consultant with Diabase right now.
Today I'm going to show you what we do at Diabase Engineering, which is a startup company. It began here in TinkerMill, and we make extruders for 3D printers. Over here is a bank of 3D printers that are making these rubber parts. And you can see that they're hollow, they're kind of intricate, and we're making those. The key part of this process is called extruding, and it happens way up here inside the machine. It's kind of difficult to see, but that's where we take the filament, this plastic material, and we shove it into an extruder and we heat it and we push it out. That's the key part of the process, and that's where people have trouble when they do 3D printing. Diabase Engineering specifically addresses that by building a product called the Flexion Extruder, and we sell those online to people who want to do a better job of 3D printing. And so a typical kit would look like this. This is what you would get in the mail when you order one of our products, and you can take this kit and add it to your existing 3D printer and improve its performance. Most of these parts, and you can see right here, we've got a whole inventory of parts that we will use to assemble our kits, which then go here into this inventory ready for shipment as orders come in. And that's our product line. I encourage you to go to our website and see what we have to offer.
It feels like we are truly back to the future with the Fluxon extruder. Jessica Erickson has been here with us today, President and CEO of the Longmont Economic Development Partnership. Would you like to invite everybody out to Startup Week?
I would love to. I think Startup Week is going to be an extraordinary opportunity for the community to highlight ourselves as a hub for innovation and entrepreneurship, as well as we talked about to inspire, educate, and entertain our local entrepreneurs as well as entrepreneurs from across the region. So I would invite everyone to come out and participate in the week. You can find the full schedule on the website at longmont.startupweek.co. And you can also find opportunities to mentor, volunteer, get involved with the week, but just encourage everybody to come to downtown Longmont or go to the village on the day that we're out there and attend as many of these events as possible.
There's no reason that business can't be fun and inspiration
Absolutely.
can't come true.
Yes,
Thank
very
you
true.
so much, Jessica.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you at Startup Week.